Okay, we gotta do this without ranting. We just gotta say my piece and move on. For about 2 years now, I've been in a vicious cycle of posting videos, taking a break, posting videos, taking a break. And the long story short is that I am no longer considering myself a booktuber. I am not affiliated with the bookternet. Like, I'm done. There's a lot of reasons. Obviously, we all know how toxic the community can be. I've also noticed a major lack of empathy and understanding. There's no nuance. People think you've got to be like really hard set on an opinion, and nobody just wants to take a minute to be like, well, actually, like for example, I don't want to get into it because this is how I start ranting, but the piracy conversation. Nobody, well, there are people, but the majority of the book Twitter world, none of them are going, okay, I disagree with piracy, but I can understand why it happens in the global south, and I can forgive people for doing it, and I should direct my anger at publishing. Nobody does that. They just get angry at the people doing the piracy, and it's like, there's so much nuance, there's so much context. Have some empathy for people. Like, it enrages me. There's also a lot of ableism. Again, I don't want to get into it. I've spent months dwelling and being stressed, and I don't need that. Like, the last few months when I've not been making content has been some of the like least stressful in years, because I was just constantly spending my time worried about how I was being perceived. The way that the book community works, the way that booktube works, is you have to do things a certain way, and I realised it's not my way. Things like, if you do booktube, you should do a TBR. If you don't do TBRs, you must wrap up at the end of the month. And like, some people have gotten away with doing like, oh, my last 5 reads, or like recent reads. But you know, for the most part, if you aren't doing a monthly wrap up, no one cares. If you aren't doing a tag, no one cares. Like, if you're not partaking in read-alongs and readathons and whatever, no one cares. And it almost feels like if you don't want to make that content, that nobody cares about you as a creator in the community. And something I've realised now, that works for plenty of people, and that is fine. Like, if you enjoy just watching content for the content's sake, go ahead. I'm realising I'm a creator person. I will not give a shit about your content if I don't like you as a person or as a creator. And there are many booktubers out there, large booktubers, small booktubers, who maybe they put on a persona, maybe they just kind of whatever, but they tend to just sit in front of the camera and they're kind of like, okay, this is the book that I read, this is a book that I bought. And I feel like I don't know them as anything other than the booktuber. And again, that works for them, that works for their viewers. It's fine. Like, I'm not shaming anybody for how they do their videos or what they watch. Like, that's not it. But for me, I was realising that I felt very much like, to be a booktuber and to be successful and to be welcomed, that you had to be like that. And that's just not me. Do you know, yes, I talk about books, yes, I like to rave about books and share the books that I've loved and whatnot, but I want people here for me. I just got to the point where, for me, it felt like I wasn't being a proper booktuber. And I don't know how to explain it. I feel like there's a lot of it's very formulaic, and it's just not it for me. For me, I want people to watch my content because they like me. I'm that person. Like, I love watching arcade channels. So there are multiple arcade channels out there. I watch 2. I watch Plush Time Wins and I watch Kawaii Arcade Masters. And that's it. And it's because I just feel like I know them as people and I like the content. I could go off and watch 100 other people doing the same thing, but I just don't click with them the same way. And I guess that was my issue with booktube, is I kind of got to the point where I feel like I was watching 100 TBRs, but I just didn't care because I felt like I didn't know the people. Like, I'll watch my friends I engage with outside of booktube. I enjoy watching their content because I know them, and like, I don't know how to describe it. And it just made me realise that obviously I can still exist in the community, but I just don't want to, because of going back to the toxicity and the ableism, because there is very much that feeling that if you aren't doing things like that, then you aren't welcome. And then all the discussions that happen, a lot of it being drama rather than actually relevant, it's like, if you don't speak up on that on book Twitter, people want to cancel you. And it's like, I'm not here, you know, like, I'm not, obviously these things are important, but I think people forget as well that like sometimes we are just here to escape. And I know that brings on the conversation of, well, these people can't escape. But when it turns into like, oh well, why aren't you talking about this one person that's still promoting JK Rowling? And it's like, because I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm over JK and I just don't want to engage with it. Like, I don't even know. The long and short is, I've just realised that within myself, it's not a space that I feel not welcome. I'm just not comfortable in it. It just doesn't feel like the right fit for me. I feel like if you're on booktube you have to only talk about books. People don't welcome conversation on other things, but I am so much more than books. I'm me, I'm autistic, I'm queer, I'm a rat owner, an animal lover, I'm an artist. And I don't want to just limit what I post to appeal to those that think the community can only be involved by those who are 100% devoted to books. Because nobody is. No one is. I was for a few years. Obviously growing up undiagnosed autistic, I learnt to mask. The minute I found my people with booktube, latched on. And I'm now 24 and don't have a fucking clue who I am. And don't feel welcome in many spaces because I feel like I'm an imposter. So obviously I'll still do bookish content, but Emmanovella is me. So you're gonna get whatever you get whenever you get it. No monthly this and monthly that, and I don't know. I just want a space for me and people who actually give a shit about me, and not because I'm performative in my activism, because that's what booktube feels like now. It feels like, look at all the educational books that I'm reading, look at all the diverse books I'm reading, and no one's critical. And maybe I just haven't found the right channels, but it's what it is.